All right, today we're cracking open a pretty wild concept called Project Titan. A leaked white paper lays out a plan to build what it calls a digital truth machine for the entire US Army. So let's get into what that actually is, because it's a real game changer. But first, let's just start with this. A pretty unsettling question. What if all those PowerPoint slides, all those green check marks that generals depend on to make life or death decisions, are basically an illusion? What if they're hiding a fatal weakness that nobody sees until the shooting starts? Well, that's the exact problem Project Titan is built to destroy.
You see, this gets at a nightmare scenario for military planners. They call it the hollow force problem. It's this idea that a unit can look 100% ready to fight on paper. I mean, all systems are green, but in reality, on the ground, they're completely combat ineffective. They're totally in the red. And this slide just lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way, reported readiness. A commander, a human, fills out a form. They might say their tank platoon is good to go. But what if half the gun sights are off? What if the crews haven't slept in 48 hours? That report won't tell you that. But on the right, that's Titan's world. Verified readiness. It's not a report someone typed up. No, it's a cryptographic fact that's generated by real-time data streaming from the gear itself.
And that is where Project Titan comes in. It's being pitched as a literal truth machine for war. The entire goal is to build this unhackable, unchangeable digital record of actual combat power. You're shifting the entire military away from guesswork and estimations to hard, cold, cryptographic certainty.
So, the key phrase you gotta get your head around is verified readiness. It means a unit is only considered combat ready if the system can algorithmically prove it. And it proves it by looking at real-world actions, the actual consumption of physical stuff. You can't just say you're ready anymore. You have to have the digital receipts to prove it.
Okay, so how in the world does Titan pull this off? Let's pop the hood and look at the engine. It's all built around this really elegant structure called the 147 Doctrine. It's basically a little economic model designed to perfectly mirror the tough physical realities of logistics and war.
So it all starts with the number 1. This is the 30,000-foot view, a single global number called the Titan Index. Just think of it like a live stock market ticker for the entire Army's combat power. It's one single integer that tells leadership right now how much lethality they actually have at their disposal.
Then you've got 4, the 4 pillars of capability. Now, you can think of these kind of like unique digital trophies or video game achievements. A unit has to earn and hold all 4 of these tokens, and they are not interchangeable. If you don't have all 4, you're not considered deployable, period. And finally, we have 7, the 7 sectors of supply. Now, these are fungible tokens, which just means they are interchangeable, like dollars in a bank account. You can think of these as the digital twin for everything a unit consumes. We're talking fuel, ammo, food, data, all of it. This is the stuff that units have to digitally spend to do things and to keep those 4 pillars we just talked about. So let's look at what these 4 pillars actually are. First, you've got manning. Do you have the right number of people, and are they actually healthy and fit to fight? Then there's arsenal, which proves your tanks, your rifles, your gear is actually working. Third is proficiency. This proves your crews know what they're doing, that they've recently passed tough, live-fire tests. And last, you have command, proving you have secure comms. A unit has to hold all 4 of these unique tokens, or the system says you're a no-go. And here's the stuff they have to spend to earn those pillars, the 7 sectors. You got the obvious ones, right? BIO for food and medical, kinetic for bullets and shells, energy for fuel. But look at the others. It even includes things like cyber for your encryption keys and intel for verified targeting data. Every single physical thing a unit uses or consumes has a digital counterpart here.
So you have these pillar achievements and these sector resources. The really clever part is how they're forced to interact. It happens through a core process that the white paper calls the burn. And this is the magic that makes sure capability is truly earned and not just, claimed on a spreadsheet.
And here's the secret sauce. It's called conditional capability minting. It's a fancy term for a simple, genius idea. You cannot get the digital prize unless you do the physical work. A unit can't be awarded that proficiency pillar unless the system can first prove that it physically burned through the right amount of ammunition tokens on the firing range. It's designed to be completely cheat-proof.
Let's walk through an example, because this makes it crystal clear. So a tank platoon needs its proficiency pillar. Step 1, they go out and they fire their cannons. Step 2, As soon as a round leaves the barrel, sensors on the tank detect it and automatically burn a kinetic token from that platoon's digital wallet. Step 3. Sensors downrange on the targets confirm that they actually hit something. And only then, Step 4, when the burn and the hits are confirmed, a smart contract automatically awards the PIL skill token to the platoon. The physical action is directly and irreversibly tied to the digital proof.
And get this, it's not just for training exercises. Imagine this logic on a real battlefield. A squad is in a firefight, and their digital wallet shows they're running low on kinetic tokens, ammunition. The system sees this, automatically flags it as a critical need, and pings the nearest autonomous supply drone to bring them more ammo. No one has to pick up a radio. It's predictive, automated logistics.
Okay, so you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. If this one system is controlling everything, an army's fuel, ammo, even its orders, how do you make sure it's impossible to hack? How do you protect it from the enemy, or even just from glitches?
Well, the answer lies in a security protocol they call proof of sustainment. You can think of it as the system's built-in lie detector. A digital transaction is only allowed to go through if it perfectly matches a physical transaction. So for example, if a fuel truck's digital wallet says it's sending 500 gallons of energy tokens, but the physical flow meter on its hose only measures 5 gallons coming out, the system just flags it as fraud and rejects the whole thing.
But it gets even crazier than that. Check out this digital suicide protocol. So what happens if the enemy actually captures a tank with this tech? Well, the moment they get in, onboard sensors will realize their biometrics don't match the authorized crew. Instantly, the vehicle's own wallet permanently destroys its most important tokens, its communication keys, its intel data, its command pillar. The tank is immediately blacklisted from the network. It becomes a completely useless dead hunk of metal.
Which really brings us back to this quote from the original document, and it just says it all. Project Titan is not merely a tracking system. It is a truth machine for the U.S. Army. That's the whole point right there.
And listen, this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy. The white paper actually details a pretty aggressive roadmap to make this happen. It starts with a massive digital simulation in 2026, and it's aiming for full Army-wide capability by 2030. They have a plan.
So, look, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The entire purpose of Project Titan is to chain the digital record of readiness to the physical world of spent fuel and fired bullets. By doing that, the hope is to finally, once and for all, eliminate the fog of war when it comes to logistics.
And that kind of leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. When a unit's fitness to fight is no longer based on a commander's gut feeling, but on an algorithm, when code becomes the final judge of readiness, what happens to the role of human command? What does it mean to lead?